Hey everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV and your Uncensored match build-up show ahead of Liverpool taking on Brighton for the second time this week, this time at Anfield, this time in the Premier League. I'm Dan Clubb, that's Jay Pearson, that's Sam Milne. Gentlemen, how are we, okay?
Good mate, yeah, thanks for having us.
Good. Sam?
Excellent, looking forward to the game.
Wonderful, look at that, everyone's happy, everyone's well. I did really well, by the way, kudos to me early doors for saying the game the right way around, because in the agenda is literally completely the wrong way around, which is easy done because, as I say, second time, isn't it? It's second time like 3 days, but we're all good. We are all good. Let's do a little bit of Brighton chat before we move on to Liverpool angles here, gents. Obviously, we know what Brighton are about somewhat more now, Sam, I think it's fair to say, but they are going well in the league, sort of taking aside what happened in midweek. Goals, lots and lots of goals in terms of how they play, both for and against, it's fair to say. Their defensive record is still the worst of the entire top eight, and I guess, having seen what we've seen in midweek, even though it was much change in terms of personnel, can you understand why? Because of the way they play.
Yeah, so the defence didn't change too much in midweek to what it'll probably be on Saturday. But as you say, they've conceded a lot of goals as well as scoring. They've won 4, drawn 4 and lost 1. But I think there's been at least 3 or 4 games where both teams have scored twice. So it suggests there'll be goals at Anfield on Saturday. And I think we can get at them. Although people have been kind of billing this as a double header, which it is. But I don't think there's going to be like the scenario where it's one-on-one battles and they're working each other out because of the last game. Yeah. Because it's almost a completely different team for Liverpool. As I say, Brighton's defence will probably be similar, but it's going to be almost 2 completely different teams playing each other out, isn't it?
No, it is, yeah. And I think Arne Slot was a pain to stress similar this morning, actually, in the press conference. He was asked a similar line of question about the fact that obviously it's never so slightly strange situation somewhat, playing the team in such quick succession, but obviously, as you mentioned there, it isn't, because the personnel is likely to be wildly different. Jay, I'll come to you on it, mate. Do you think there are any sort of midweek learnings to be had from what we've seen there in terms of the way, because even though, as I mentioned, the actual players will likely be different for this game, I think the way the manager, the Brighton boss, likes to go about his football, Arne Slot would have seen that and potentially taken a few things from that.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And I think from our perspective as well, it's only going to be positive headaches for Slot, because as Cody Gakpo played his way into the side again, and I think a lot of people probably be like, oh, play him because he was really good against Brighton. But again, cup game, away game, different sort of feel, and obviously Slot likes to play a different type of way at Anfield. So yeah, it's only positive headaches for Slot, but it's like Sam said, it's just, you can always say, oh, well, we beat them midweek, which means we're going to beat them in the weekend. It's like Sam said, it's a completely different game, competition, time of day. Yeah, you know, atmosphere will be different, and the players will be different as well.
No, absolutely will be. Just on Brighton, injury wise, they're missing Adam Webster still, Jimmy Milner. It's a shame, isn't it? It's always a shame. João Pedro is likely to still be absent for this one. Matt O'Reilly is also. Yakubu Minteh is down here as being absent, but I'm not sure that's true, obviously. Lewis Dunk is a big miss for Brighton, I think it's fair to say. Kadioglu's been added to that. He actually went off in the game midweek. He started but then couldn't come out for the second half, and Solly March likewise also absent. So a lot has been made about who we're missing. We'll come on to that in sort of part 2. But Sam, Brighton, they're a good side. They've got a decent squad, but that's a big old injury list for them, I think it's fair to say.
It is. I think it's gone under the radar. Matt O'Reilly's a big miss. He would have been an excellent player for them. He's got the energy to be really good in the Premier League, to get up and down in midfield. But the fact he's been out at the first game, he got
the Carabao Cup against Crawley, I think I might say,
and it was a really bad injury. Yeah. And so obviously Lewis Dunk as well, who's probably missing this game, and there's others as well. So they're not at their full strength. But Hurtler has done a really good job coming in. It's been great to kind of see them stick with the philosophy of them being an entertaining side, because I always think that if you're not going for the league, and you're probably not going to win the League Cup or the FA Cup, you need to give the fans something. And I think that's why maybe like Palace weren't too happy with Hodgson back, even though they were doing okay. At least with Brighton, you know, you go into the game, you're getting goals, you're watching exciting football. So it's been good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a very aggressive, front-footed style of football. We've seen that. Mittoma's a problem.
Yeah,
Mittoma's a problem.
When he came on Wednesday, I was like, right, here we go. They'll give us something now because of the way he plays footy, and straight from his first touch, the way he took that ball down, I was like, right, here he is. And yeah, gave us a bit of a headache, and to have that at 90 minutes, because he's not afraid of anything. He's such a quality player.
Well, he's got a PhD in dribbling, so you can't be afraid of dribbling at people when you own that in your back pocket. That's hanging up somewhere on the wall in your house.
And I think the wide areas will be key. They were against Arsenal. I think they were on Wednesday as well. It'll probably be Adingra and Mitoma up against Tsimikas and Trent. And so there'll be two really key battles. And then obviously our end, we've got probably Diaz and Salah back.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they will be sort of the key 1v1 sort of situations are going on, and areas whereby both teams would look to exploit, I imagine. Because I was going to come to you on that, David. You alluded to the wingers there, and that felt like the main threat. I know it'd probably be Danny Welbeck instead of Evan Ferguson up front this time around. Danny Welbeck's been in fine form, enjoying a real sort of renaissance to his particular career. But the wide area, you touched on Mitoma, but even Tariq Lamptey, I thought he was a threat from an attacking point of view, very front-footed full-back. Obviously, Minter, Adingra were problems as well along the way. So I think we do need to be defensively as solid as we have been so far this season. We conceded 2 in midweek, albeit one was from an own goal and very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But Brighton will come to play, and that probably lends itself to Liverpool being better, because we've seen already this season when Forest come and shut up shop and then counter, that's tricky. But when a team comes and is aggressive, that can actually suit us.
It can, and what I've loved about Slot this season is he's had that sort of like in-game management where he can react quite well to it instead of sort of sticking to his guns, and I've really liked that about him this season. And before we came in today, I was looking at sort of like the last few results against Brighton, more especially away from home, because it was like 1 win in 4, and that was Wednesday night. So yes, all right, playing away to Brighton, different story when they come to Anfield. We have got a pretty decent record against them, but they've never been sort of like massive gaps between them in terms of the goals, so the sort of the scoreline. So I do think that Tsimikas are going to have to be on it, because there's been this big conversation, especially this week, about Robbo and Tsimikas, and is Robbo on his way out and this, that, and I don't think he did particularly bad on Wednesday night anyway, as it is, but there's this big question mark about that position right now, and then Trent and what's going on with him as well. So they're going to have to be on the game, but they're professional at the end of the day, aren't they? So you would hope.
Yeah, no, you would do. Yeah, we'll have that big conversation about Tsimikas and Robbo in the second half of the show. Actually, I'm looking forward to that particular element of it. Mikey J asked how many regular starters did Brighton rest. I would imagine they probably made about 5 or 6 changes to their particular.
I think Veltman might come back in, which might be a bonus for us if meaning Kostas can get forward on the left.
There'll probably be a change of keeper as well. I think.
I don't think Steele will play.
I don't think Steele will play. He was living dangerously,
very
wasn't he?
Wasn't
but I know that's the way
Steele's
they play, so kind of whatever. But my word, we were unfortunate early on, especially not to just nick one there. Tsimikas, speaking about it, Sobbo gets studs on the bottom one, doesn't he?
He does,
I think, but I think they probably made a few changes. Likewise to Liverpool, so some much changed lineups. Jay, you said you were doing some research on past Liverpool Brighton games a moment ago. I'm just going to do that,
right.
Which leads us nicely onto the trivia question before we go to our first and only break of the show. Liverpool beat Brighton 4-0 in May 2018. Which 2 players scored their first Liverpool goals in that game?
I know it already.
Oh, well, don't say it yet. You at home watching, start putting the answers to that in the chat. Sam, you think, get those cogs whirring, and we'll be back in like a minute or so. Hey everybody, how would you like to get your hands on this stunning retro Liverpool shirt signed by Jan Molby, no less? All you have to do is sign up as a legend subscriber at redmenplus.com, and you will be in the prize draw to win this beauty, as well as getting access to our Discord, free merch, money off merch, and a whole lot more. Look at that, not even a minute. So I asked you before the break, Liverpool beat Brighton 4-0 in May 2018. Which 2 players scored their first Liverpool goals in that game? I think we have a full house of answers here, Sam. Go for one of them.
Solanke?
Correct.
And Andy Robertson.
Andy Robertson is correct. Well done to Yusuf in the chat, who absolutely smashed that. And Dave got Solanke and Luke got Robbo. So look at that. Well done, everybody. Isn't that pleasant? Sounds. Let's move on. On to Liverpool then. In that case, Arne Slot spoke earlier on this morning down in the AXA for his press conference. Was obviously asked about injuries, asked about a whole number of things, to be honest with you, contracts. So that is renderingly absolutely pointless right now because he's not giving any updates on that front, as you wouldn't expect.
You could tell by his face in the press, couldn't you? Like, as soon as Vinny O'Connor was asking the question, here we go again.
He knows it's coming, doesn't he? He knows
exactly.
it's coming. But yeah, he did provide a couple of injury little tidbits. Obviously, we know no Alison Becker, no Harvey Elliott, no Diogo Jota, who's already ruled them out until at least post-upcoming international break. He's done likewise with Federico Chiesa as well this morning. He isn't expected back after this upcoming break. And what he did say on him was there's a plan, there's an aim for him to train during that break with a view to him being back and available thereafter. We won't spend long dwelling on Chiesa because ultimately he's not available, Sam. But there is some concern, unrest, worry that because of his injury track record, if this was any normal footballer who Liverpool have signed in the summer with sort of an unblighted history of injuries, we'd all go, oh, that's just unfortunate. Like, he's come, the intensity of the league, the training, whatever, he's just picked up a few problems. We'll get him up to speed eventually, because when we sign players under Jurgen Klopp, Andy Robertson was one of these, it took them a while before they started playing often. So you could almost caveat it. With Chiesa, because of the injury track record being poor, everyone is starting to panic a little bit about this sort of mystery absence. Where are you at with him, I guess?
I think there's a couple of things contributing to that worry. One, I think we're a bit scarred from having Daniel Sturridge, Jota, Thiago, Keita, all...
Arthur Mello's the one.
Mello as well.
Yeah.
He is, he just is.
Arthur as well.
Yeah.
We're all kind of scarred from that, knowing what... We don't want another career to kind of be a what-if moment, even going back as far as maybe Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler, who maybe burned out a bit young. So, and I think the other thing is, as you say, he had those injuries and he didn't come in fully fit either. It feels like from what Slot said, they kind of maybe rushed him in a bit. You'd like to think that weren't the case, but just kind of reading between the lines in the press conferences, it feels like this is where he's almost having a reset. Yeah. So he came in, he wasn't fully fit, and then they brought him in, they tried to play him into match fitness, and then he got injured again. And it feels like this is where they've just gone, no, have as much time out as you want, even though we're actually quite short in attack. In some ways, we haven't got a right winger, or a striker really, with Jota injured, and we haven't got a right winger to play instead of Salah. So you'd think Chiesa ideally would be playing instead of one of those in the League Cup at least.
Yeah.
So it shows kind of how important it is that he gets his rest now and he recuperates properly.
Yeah, well, the absence of what you just said there was evidenced in the week, wasn't it? When we went with Jones, I suppose, like sort of like that false nines, 9.5, 10s, whatever you want to call them. And you're right, and obviously, I think on a slot in the pre-Brighton press conference, the first iteration of that references Ben Doak being out on loan, even Jayden Dan's not being available, that they might have been answers or potential answers to the midweek problem. But yeah, you're right on Chiesa. And I think you're also right. And it would be sensible, Jay, if Liverpool have looked at him. And I think Slot referenced the fact that he was sort of getting involved in training and having setbacks and getting involved in training. And the intensity of what was happening or was a little bit too much. Therefore, with the quality and sort of the calibre and the best in class of the medical team, if they have looked at him as an individual case and gone, you need a complete reset, that seems smart.
Absolutely, especially for the fee. And I think the key word here is patience. I think with a player of his calibre, and we all know how good of a player he is, that's why everyone was so excited to get him. I think you've just got to be patient. Sam's right in saying we are a bit thin on the ground in terms of strikers, but normally when they're all fit, we've got plenty on it, so we can be a little bit patient with Chiesa. I just want this Italian jinx to be broken, mate. I really do. Like you mentioned before about going further back, Aquilani. Yeah, you know what I mean. He came in. We knew about his injury records, and we were being patient with him, and ultimately that just never worked out. Nope. So I'm just really hoping and praying that this is different. And I think when we talk about was he rushed in, I kind of hoping that was the case because we wanted to just get him in there because I'd rather him not be. No, he was ready then. And now he's had another injury setback. That would make it worse for me. I would rather we've rushed him, we made that mistake, and now we'll be patient again. Yeah. Because what a player we have got.
No, 100%. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. And again, it was sort of a no risk because of the low bargain fee that we paid for him. But yeah, and again, some of Slot's messaging around has been a little bit like, okay, that's a bit worrying. But yeah, hopefully we can get him up to speed and enjoy the fruits of our £12 million worth of labour thereafter.
Correct.
I think also we've kind of put a bit of pressure on him because he was the only signing of the summer and he came in towards the end of the window. If we'd signed a few players and he was and he'd been almost an afterthought
addition,
for 12 million, we'd have all gone, oh, we'll just wait for him. But because he's the only one, and he came in and he seemed dead happy, and he was loving Anfield and all that kind of thing, we were dead eager to see him get on the pitch.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, it come back to the quality and the calibre of the footballer, because when talking, not 24 months ago, getting linked with like moves here and there, it's like £100 million worth of euros at least, you know what I mean? So yeah, phenomenal talent. And like I say, hopefully one we can get on the pitch sooner rather than later. And as Kat says here, rather safe than sorry. And I think that's the approach Liverpool have taken with him. Okay, let's talk about lads that are available to us then. I think we're all just expecting Keith Keller to come back in for this one. As brilliant as Yaros was midweek, by the way.
Yaros.
Yeah,
three best goalkeepers in the world. It's mad,
it's mad, isn't it? We've done some Johnny Achterberg. My guy. Let's talk about the defence then. So Keller in net, as we know. Jay, I'll come to you. And you've already started the debate around the left back, so let's kick off there. Robbo, a lot's been made around the Robertson and the decline thereof, if you want to call it that. I think it's a little bit premature personally, but we'll discuss it. Midweek was a difficult night for him, but then also he has one massive intervention at the back post, which is really smart defending.
That's what I meant before.
And also, he could have had a goal, because a decent save at a steal down low at his near post with his foot, and he could have had an assist if Szoboszlai had have hit the ball a bit harder. So, yeah, those big defensive contributions. Somewhat of an off night. There's one way he rushed into Tariq Lamptey, which I wasn't in love with personally, but what do you make of it? And I guess for this particular game, he's unlikely to play because he played the entirety of that game. That's
exactly what I was about to say, mate. I think we got our answer who plays tomorrow by seeing on Wednesday, so I don't see a world where Robbo starts, sadly, because I absolutely love him.
Just on that, and how do you see? Because I think you're right. I think we all know it's probably going to be Tsimikas tomorrow.
Yeah,
we'll talk about him in a moment. But do you see that as a passing over of the baton, or do you just see it as like that's where we are right now?
I think Slot's been very complimentary about Kostas the last sort of few weeks, and I think this is him just saying, yeah, I'll just play him because he's been playing quite well. At the end of the day, he's going to have his moments, as most players of his calibre do. So I just think it's just one of the things where Slot, I think he knows probably eventually he's going to have to find. Well, we all know we've been saying about a left back anyway, haven't we? So I just think this is a sort of a stopgap type thing, and I don't think we should read too much into it as a passing of the torch, because I don't see Tsimikas carrying that torch for the next few years.
No,
at Liverpool.
No.
So for me, it's just like I'll pass the torch between the two of them for this season. Whoever's playing better or who's in good form.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah, I think maybe talk of Robertson's decline is a bit premature.
Completely
He's
agree.
Definitely kind of past his peak, but that doesn't mean he's a poor defender anymore, or a poor left back. I think you only need to go back to the end of last season when we started to collapse a bit. Robertson was probably our most consistent player in that time, and he was guiding players through games. I think, was it the derby? He was probably our best player. Might be misremembering that, but he was definitely, that experience definitely helped see us through a bit towards the end of last year. And then this year, he's not been that poor.
No, I agree.
I agree that Lamptey got the better of him, and was it Saka at the weekend as well? But that's one of the best wingers in world football.
Say, yeah.
And he could have done day, he might have done better, but he's by no means a weak link in the team. Mm-hmm. And if you keep playing him, then his consistency is really key for us. I think long term, as you say, Tsimikas isn't going to be a long term option. And then, but I think the people in the back room, the data nerds as we call them, will be looking probably at a left back, because if you look at the age of Robertson, he is coming towards the end. We've got Luke Chambers in the academy, who I rate really highly. I'm sure Dan's seen Luke Chambers as well. Wigan fans love him as well. And you know what? He's keeping at Wigan. It's him and James Carragher who are playing really well as fullbacks. But it does feel like we'll be going into the transfer market next summer.
Yeah, I anticipate we might. But you're right on the left back point. Somebody mentions Owen Beck here, who's doing really well at Blackburn, which is actually true as well. Luke James has just returned to Liverpool. He's injured.
Yeah.
He's done his back, as so many Liverpool youngsters appear to do. Callum Scanlon's another one who spent the first bit of the season at Millwall. He's come back injured as well. So as much as we do own lots of them, a lot of them are currently sidelined. So it's far from ideal. But yeah, I think there's something. Owen Beck had a good season last year at Dundee as well. But again, I think Liverpool enter the market for a left back soon. And that's not me sitting here saying that Robertson is done, because I don't believe he is.
No.
But I do think that's one of the priority positions, and a lot of this will hinge on what happens with the free contract lads in terms of what we do in the market.
Yeah.
But I think if we get a couple of them boxed, left back will be up there.
And if a couple of those go as well, you don't want to see all our experienced players go out the door straight away. You need
Also
a bit
true.
of a spine.
Yeah.
Robertson's experience is clearly really good around the squad and the dressing room. As much as he's seen as a bit of a joker in the squad, he doesn't play at that high level for years under Klopp without performing and training at his absolute best all the time.
No, 100%. Leadership, you said it there, the experience of him as well, like, and the quality of the man. I think there will be sort of a changed role potentially for him. I'm reticent to say sort of James Milner-esque. He hasn't got the versatility of James Milner, but in terms of what he does around the squad, there might be something there. I think a lot of people, again, to sort of spin it back around, are starting to fear where Andy Robertson's heading or has headed, because we've seen the almost rapid falling off a cliff of like Fabinho. Those players that did run through brick walls and put absolutely everything into the Jurgen Klopp team, they have often just gone, right, that's me then. And Robbo hasn't done that, by the way. People are starting to worry about that, you know what I mean? So
it's really important for him to be rotated with Tsimikas as well, because Robertson plays every minute for Scotland. And so he's not getting any rest even at his age. So you could see him being... You could say he's been dropped, but I don't think that's the case, really. I think it's just really important he does get the odd 90 minutes off.
Honestly, I wouldn't say he's dropped him, I'll tell you that now.
No, he said today he didn't drop him.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, he's played at such a top level since he's arrived at the club, and like you both said before, like every minute of every game, running through brick walls, the man is allowed to have a couple of games off.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you can't go to that level. Especially as the older you get, your body starts to break down. There's going to be times where you're like, right, I can't do this anymore. I've got to swap with Tsimikas, and Klopp recognised that. Not as much as Slot recognises it.
No. And he had his injury problems as well on the way, hasn't he? And you mentioned there, he's captain of Scotland, so he's bound to play 180 minutes in the next few weeks for them, whatever happens. Okay, so we got Tsimikas after all that, which is fine. I enjoy the left back stuff in a bit. It's kind of my like buzzword topic right now. I'm really enjoying it. Let's do right back. Trent comes back in for Conor Bradley.
Yeah.
No particular
I don't think
questions there. No, okay. Sounds. Centre halves then, the big two.
Big two.
Is back in.
Yeah. Again, you know, there's Slot was very complimentary about Kwanzaa in his press conference, wasn't he? So I don't think there's any sort of massive negativity around the lad. At the end of the day, those two mistakes can happen to anybody, and the type of game it was, and they led to the 2 goals, and it was a nervy last few minutes. That's where it does look bad, but give the lad time, because we know how good he is, because he's been brilliant anyway. So I think it's Van Dijk and Konate back in. Yeah,
likewise, absolutely. Just I'll come to you, Sam. Jay's absolutely spot on about Joel Kwanzaa for what it's worth, but just your take on Joe Gomez, really, in terms of where he's at now, because obviously he gets 90 odd minutes midweek. Thought he played pretty well, actually, for what it's worth, but he feels like somebody a moment ago mentioned him as a potential left back role for this. I know he did a lot of that last season. I'm not convinced right now myself, but yeah, it feels like he did his chances of more football, no harm in midweek.
Yeah, I think the talk of Gomez leaving and people being quite not eager to sell him, but open to him leaving, I didn't get on board with at all. You look last season, the League Cup final, for example, in that stretch where we didn't have many players, he was a proper leader, and he got back into the form we'd kind of seen 2018. That was probably his best run of form since 18-19. And so I think he's still a quality player. He just needs a run of games in defence. If Konate were to get injured as good as he is, and Gomez or Kwanzaa were to come in with a few games behind them, I've got kind of no worries at all. Gomez is brilliant. As you say, left back, he's not Kostas Tsimikas and he's not Andy Robertson going forward, but he does a job, as much as I hate that phrase. And it's the same at right back. You'd rather Bradley or Alexander-Arnold, especially in home games. But if you're away against a difficult team and Alexander-Arnold's injured, then there is a conversation to be had whether you play Bradley or Gomez there.
No, absolutely is. Yeah, Gomez is the perfect utility guy, isn't he? He's shown that time and time again, and feels like whenever he does play him, he's playing pretty well to a good level, which is nice. So that's our back 4 box, and let's move into midfield, shall we? Jay, I think we're just anticipating a bit of a straightforward straight swap for Wataru Endo out, Tyler Morton out, and Gravenberch and McAllister in.
Yep. I don't see any way you change that. I think keep it as it is.
Yeah, I was quite pleased with both Endo and particularly Tyler Morton in midweek. I thought they played well.
It was good to see them come on, especially get a few minutes for Endo as well. And I think, but you know, I liked the way he brought McAllister on as well, because I think it was nice that he got like a really nice ovation from the Brighton crowd as well, which he obviously deserves, and it was good to get, because I think throwing McAllister straight back into this game might, not that it would be an issue, it's just a case of just giving him that little sort of a bit of a warm-up type thing as well. So Gravenberch and McAllister go straight back in for me.
Yeah, same. Before we do the big one, Sam, I'll come to you. And I've asked you a similar line of questioning with Joe Gomez, but I'll do it similarly with the midfield. With the likes of Endo and Tyler Morton getting good minutes under the belt midweek, and I know yes is the answer to what I'm about to ask you, but just sort of expand on it if you will. Like Arne Slot has sort of hammered home the need to get minutes into some lads because we're going to need them across the season, whether it be starts or substitute appearances. So the fact that they did come in and play to that level against a very good Brighton side of midweek bodes really, really well.
Yeah, it's really good to have those players playing minutes, because as much as they might play with the Morton with the under-21s or Endo with Japan, it's not to the same level, is it? You don't get the same match sharpness. And so people were talking about, Slot might just want to ditch the League Cup, or some fans would be happy to see us go out. But it's actually, maybe not happy is the wrong word, but okay.
Some might, by the way.
I think it's bloody stupid.
I'm with you, by the way.
I agree.
I'd never
big on the
sacrifice
League
those
Cup.
Wembley days.
No.
They're some of the best days out you
Best
can
day
have.
of the season.
Yeah, is going that cup final. Anyway, sorry, Sam.
But no, apart from winning the trophy as well, it is a really good opportunity to keep players fit. And Slot kind of talked about how important the internationals have been for the likes of Gakpo earlier in the season. Yeah. Well, if we hadn't had this League Cup game and Gravenberch gets injured, Endo hasn't started a game of football in months.
Yep.
So it's really important. It's really important for them.
Yeah.
And the thing is with Morton and Endo as well to some extent, but with Morton, he could play, Slot said, he could play for any Premier League team, apart from maybe, the top four.
Yeah.
It's just that to get into this Liverpool team, you have to be one of the best in the league, if not the world.
Yeah, the standards are high.
Exactly. And so it's not like he's a poor player. I always think with these players, like Gomez, like Quansah, like Kelleher, get a couple of games behind them. They're a different player. The confidence goes up, and they're used to playing in the team then.
Yeah, and they all showed, for me, midweek, lots of quality, first and foremost, but also a real sort of hunger and desire to sort of prove a point to Arne Slot that they were ready and they were capable. But yeah, and on your Tyler Morton point, you're absolutely spot on. I mean, he was courted by Leverkusen and a little bit of Leipzig, I think, over the summer, which shows where he's at in terms of his career, off the back of 2 good championship loan spells as well. Lamney Dan asks, is Lewis Dunk still injured? Will he be back? I don't think he's going to play. I did the Oppo preview show this week with Adam Virgo, and he, obviously former Brighton defender, he basically said that Dunk's probably out, which is a big loss for them and quite significant for Liverpool as well, because not only is he captain, talisman, leader at the back, and organises their entire defence, but also he does chip in with goals, seemingly always against Liverpool as well. So not sad to not see him potentially lining up tomorrow. Nigel says, I want trophies, which we all do. We all want trophies. Nice, shiny.
There was a big tweet that went around about that game this week. Like, would you sacrifice a loss tonight for 3 points on Saturday? I mean, I get the league's the most important thing, and you always want those 3 points, but
does 3 points guarantee a Premier League title?
Exactly, it doesn't.
Far from. And I know the win on midweek doesn't guarantee the Carabao Cup either.
No, but
it goes a hell of a long way towards it. Like,
absolutely, because the draw can be favourable for you, and away at Southampton's never a good place to go, is it? Anyway, but
could have been harder.
It could have been harder. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, but I say just going to Wembley for those cup finals is brilliant. So you just never sacrifice it.
I think there's a bit of a feeling as well as the last few years. It's like, it looks, without being too negative, it looks like it might be the same this year, but Man City will just win the league anyway, so why would you kind of throw away the chance for a trophy? You want to win trophies. If you can't win the league, then beggars can't be choosers, can they?
It's true, mate. You've got 3 other competition there to focus on. But yeah, anyway, we love Wembley.
No, we do. Absolutely, we do.
But the Carabao Cup Reds.
Somebody makes a point here about Jorginho Rutter, and it's a good one because he is in good form. He's a good player as well, signed from Leeds, obviously. I think over the summer, I think Brighton's record transfer.
He was cup-tied on Wednesday.
He was cup-tied on Wednesday, so he couldn't play there. Yeah, he'll be fresh for this one. And I think this really, obviously, we're talking about the midfield right now, and they will have to be sort of on it. We mentioned Gravenberch and McAllister, and I agree, and Carlos Believe is likely to come back in as well, and we all know how good he looks, and Brighton have done it again. They've unearthed someone from pretty much obscurity and he turns out to be boss. Yeah,
so good at that.
He'll be moving probably towards in like a year for 60 million quid. Don't worry about that. Let's do the final piece of this midfield jigsaw then, Jay. It's a straightforward shootout ultimately, isn't it, between Curtis and flip of a coin for you, Curtis and Dom?
Because we're at home, yes. I felt Jones might have struggled a little bit away at Arsenal. I deserved the shirt after his performance against Chelsea, absolutely. But I think there might have been sort of like something just missing a little bit against Arsenal. But again, Jones at home, I wouldn't say no. So I would flip the coin and be like, I'd be happy either way. Put it that way. What about you?
Yeah, I would probably just edge it to Curtis, to be honest. But I will say this with the words I've just said, and it was interesting how Arne Slot was asked about it today in terms of McAllister's role and where he can play, because I think he was asked, could he play the 10? And he basically can play all across the midfield, which we know. But I would be very tempted to put McAllister into that 10 and ask Curtis to the left-sided 8 myself.
Yeah.
Personally, that's where I would be at. But again,
I'd be happy with that.
Many ways to skin a cat, I guess. And Liverpool have these options and the flexibility of options in there, which is lovely. Sam, what would you do?
See, it's the whole 10 thing that makes this a bit of a conundrum, in the sense that Jones hasn't played there very much, and it's maybe a bit of like a false herring to say, oh, we weren't very good against Arsenal in it, because he was fine, but I don't think he was as effective as he was against Chelsea, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
Playing in the deeper role, or the more box-to-box role, which he does get forward a lot in. He scored the goal, didn't he?
Yeah.
So so as you say, it'd be interesting to see McAllister there, but whether Slot thinks, okay, we need to give Jones a run of games here, because you can't say play Jones as an 8 instead of McAllister in midweek games, and then as soon as Szoboszlai goes out of form or gets injured, just go, oh, you're playing in that new position today against whoever it is, City, and expect him to do the same thing, because it's a different position. So I would like to see him play there more. But as you say, McAllister's another option. Be interesting. Does he quite have the same running power as Jones or Szoboszlai? Probably. Maybe just doesn't visually look like he does.
No.
It's interesting, because it does feel like you need to, like Szoboszlai, his engine is ridiculous.
Yeah,
and that's why he's playing essentially.
Yeah, but as Jay alluded, it's the home side of things where we are expected to dominate possession a bit more. Brighton will come and look to do exactly that. They look to have their lion's share of the ball as well, but it'd be very tricky against the Liverpool team, certainly at Anfield. But you're right, Szoboszlai's out of possession, his pressing, his ability to do the dirty work and lead from the front is absolutely phenomenal, and that's what has kept him in the team for a large part of the season. Curtis Jones's fitness issues earlier on, obviously, as well. Harvey Elliott not being available too hasn't exactly sort of been banging down the door, but it's interesting. Have we got an answer, I guess, in terms of that midfield? Obviously, McAllister, Gravenberch, and anyone?
Again,
Colours to the mast?
I think he'll go Szoboszlai, because Jones has played the last 2 or 3, and then Szoboszlai's only played the last 1.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of working out how they're doing it. It seems it's like you play 2 games, have 1 off. Play 2 games, have 1 off, it seems. So probably be Szoboszlai, but personally I'd like to see Jones play.
That's exactly where I'm at. I prefer to see Jones, but I can see based on the last couple of weeks it'd be Szoboszlai.
Okay. Theo 22.
But again, nice headache to have.
Lovely, yeah, and again, yeah,
Not gonna complain.
two high quality players do it slightly differently. I think it's fair to say when they do play that role, but yeah, the Szoboszlai stuff, I don't know, maybe just lacking in confidence a little bit. He had 2 chances midweek there, and you think if he scores one of them, who knows? He did actually, it was interesting. I seen his Instagram post afterwards, like something, and I'm paraphrasing, so forgive me, Dom, but something like, does he have a little bit more luck or something like that, maybe?
It felt like a slight mistranslation, but he did appear to blame it on luck.
He did, yeah. And I think the actual image I saw it with was the save from Steele, and it's a decent save. Like, I'm not sure Cody Gakpo does him many favours with the pass either, by the way.
No.
But yeah, Dom,
Bobbler.
if he scores the first one, which Dom should do better for, in my opinion, or the second one goes in, I think we're having a different conversation about Szoboszlai. Like, it just feels like he just can't catch a break at the minute a little. But again, I would probably, if we're not doing the messing around with McAllister thing, although I don't think he does have the running power to emulate what Szoboszlai does. I'm not sure anyone does, if the truth be told. What I do think McAllister possesses is the intelligence and the wherewithal and the eye for a pass to pick up those pocket spaces and do that sort of stuff. And he wears a number 10 on his back, so obviously.
It does seem like with that number 10 position, though, you're often the furthest man forward. As in Szoboszlai, he's often making that run in between the striker and Salah. And so you do feel like having a tall player, having a bit of physicality about you running in the channels is possibly better. But I mean, McAllister's such a good player, you wouldn't begrudge him playing there, would you?
Not. Again, that's what Star said. He said he could do all of it, and we know that. You know what I mean? He's so good. He really is. He's probably sort of, I think Jan Molby described him being certified world class to me, and that's pretty high praise.
I was going to say, coming from him,
it's not bad, is it?
No,
it's not bad. FC says Brighton are a good side, but for closing down, they give us loads of. I think we've seen a little bit of evidence of that in midweek. There was definitely moments early on where you thought, if this press, and that was a press that wasn't disjointed, that's too much of a stretch, but it wasn't potentially all in unison because the players were in different positions and hadn't played together so much, and that was a bit of a patched up Liverpool front line, if you like. Whereas this one could be more in sync, and it might really press the life out of Brighton and make life difficult. Sound okay. I think we've just about come to an answer on the midfield. Let's jump to the forwards then. This feels somewhat more straightforward, Jay, to pick three out of these a little bit. There's one big question mark, but the two centre forward are easy.
Yeah, Salah and Nunes.
No issues whatsoever.
No, there's nothing else, is there? It's like Sam said before, we're a bit thin there.
A little bit. We got from having like 6 and sort of extolling the virtues of how boss our attacking department is to being like, oh, what do we do now? But yeah,
as thin as my hairline.
Hopefully not for much longer. I mean, not the hair.
I know I was going to say the hairline, not the strike force.
Go to Istanbul at any point. No, okay, Darwin then, and Masu makes the point here. Darwin is going to have a field day behind Brighton centre backs. That
so.
May well be true, yeah, because their line is particularly high.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Let's do the one then, Sam. Let's do it. Come on. What we're saying? Yeah. Whose shirt is that?
It'll be Diaz, I think. Yeah. And I think I'm using the same logic as the kind of Szoboszlai Jones in this sense that although Diaz did play midweek, I think his favourite position is the left. He's better on the left. And Gakpo has had he's played the last couple of games. And so we might see Diaz in this one and Leverkusen and then maybe Gakpo against Villa. That seems to be kind of how it's working.
Yeah. And I agree, because as much as I always like to see players rewarded for their efforts, a lot of that with managers nowadays, it just goes out the window. It's like, no, I've got my plan. And they always say, the next game is the most important one, but managers plan, like you've just said, 2 or 3 games ahead. So it will be Diaz, but I think it's a shame for Cody Gakpo that he doesn't get it. But would I be surprised if you've gone, well, do you know what, actually, you've played yourself into the shirt there, go on, have it. But I do think it'll be Diaz.
I think it's going to be Gakpo.
There's plenty of games for them to play, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
I mean, there's 5 in November, but I think we've got 9 games in December. So it's not like they're going to be short of football.
Exactly.
Well, we play Tuesday night. Like, the turnaround there is particularly huge. Like, it's not the end of the world sort of turnaround either, but it's quick.
No, absolutely,
It's thick and fast.
It is.
So there's no wrong answer to this in the best possible way.
Yeah.
Like with the Jones Szoboszlai thing, you could look at it and go, well, he offers that, but he doesn't offer that, and vice versa. With these two, it's like they're both in superb red hot form. They're both scoring goals. They're both desperate to play. They're both desperate to be the man on that left hand side. So this is literally flip of a coin territory for me. Like,
I mean, if we're going to put ourselves to the mast, I would prefer it to be Gakpo.
Okay.
But I just have a feeling it's going to be Diaz, because like I said before, I do like the idea of players playing into for the shirt at the end of the day, where
that meritocracy is massively important.
Exactly. And I just think if you're scoring goals, then stick yourself in the team again, and players thrive off that. So
the competition for places thing is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a lovely, lovely luxury to have. And Matty says here, like, get Gakpo in because of what he did on Wednesday. And yeah, Diaz would have the same argument. I'm sure he would have been delighted to get the goal at the end, especially having seen what Cody Gakpo did.
Exactly.
On what he would deem as his side of the pitch in his position.
Yeah.
But I would be Cody Gakpo. And mainly because I love Cody Gakpo, but also because he's the one that comes off at the turn in midweek. Diaz does the rest of the game. And maybe reading too much into that, but I just think there's a little bit of that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But again, great problem, Sam.
Yeah, you've got me questioning myself now, because you say Gakpo came off, and that actually does indicate, given what we've seen, that he might start. So maybe I'll change my answer. But I personally would like to see Diaz.
Yeah.
I know we're talking about Brighton coming out, and hopefully they'll be trying to play football, so that gives us a bit of space. But we kind of thought Forest might try to play a bit, and they didn't. That's not an attack on them. And Forest aren't the same team as Brighton, but they were very defensive. I think Brighton could easily sit back. And so I think Diaz at home, when teams are sitting back, Diaz is better. I think he's better in tight spaces. He can make something happen out of nothing, whereas I feel Gakpo kind of picks the ball up and runs at players. Diaz is better. I think he's better when he's got players coming at him and he can jink his way past them and create stuff. But as you say, it's a flip of a coin, and I think it's fairly easy for Slot at the moment to kind of keep them happy, because they can say, well, you're playing it against the Champions League against Xabi Alonso's by Leverkusen on Wednesday, so I wouldn't be too upset.
No hardship, is it?
You'll come on for the last half an hour as well, and every player wants to start every game, but it's quite an easy sell for Slot to say, you sit this one out for the first hour.
No, absolutely exactly. It is, And again, I think with the Brighton sort of approach thing, we didn't allude to it. We did in the way earlier on, but like, I don't think that he'll be naive and just come all guns blazing. But I do think they will be front-footed, because he's trying to implement a style, a system, and a philosophy of playing. So if he suddenly abandons all of his principles because they're coming to Anfield and Liverpool, the players will start to look at him and go, well, what are we doing? You know what I mean? A little bit. Whereas with Nuno and Forest, Nuno is very risk averse. He that's what got him out the Tottenham job. Ultimately.
Yeah, true.
He was too negative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it didn't shock me at all the way Forest approached it. I think Brighton will come, and yes, they'll be a bit more, or attempt a bit more solid because they're away from home, but they'll still want to play. They'll still want to sort of have their moments in the game. So, yeah, interesting. Let's start thinking about score predictions. I think we've got a front... Well, we kind of got a front three. Kind of. Let's start thinking about score predictions. While you two do that, start getting them into the chat as well, and I'll throw them up on screen as we go. While we do that, however, we're going to quick look around the Premier League fixtures this weekend and see where some of our rivals may slip up or not, as the case may be. Newcastle, Arsenal tomorrow, 12:30 kickoff, Jay. Any joy to be had there?
Hopefully, mate. St James's Park is always a difficult place to go for any team. Newcastle will be a little bit happy with the progression in the Carabao this week, so they'll be nice and motivated again. Hopefully the ball goes out on the line like it did last year. No one cares. And
the Arsenal fans will combust if anything happens.
I know. Well, I hope it's something that's controversial like that just to shut them up. Yeah, so I again, that's a good fixture for us. I
think so as well. Certainly being in St James's, I tend to agree. Ipswich play Leicester, Southampton, Everton, some relegation stuff going, a couple of 6-pointers knocking around there, which is always nice. Bournemouth, Manchester City, Sam. Man City aren't firing on all cylinders, may I suggest, and Bournemouth are decent. But similar to what I said a minute ago with Brighton, I think Bournemouth will have a go at anybody on their day because that's the way Iraola wants them to play. So is there any glimmer of hope there that there could be some drop points?
There is a glimmer. Bournemouth picked up points against Arsenal, didn't they?
They beat them.
So it shows that even if they do try and come out, then they do have quality. I really like Iraola. I like his kind of philosophy and how he goes about his nature, really. But City they've got Haaland fit. He scored last week, didn't he? Whenever Haaland's fit, you think, oh, that's a goal. So Bournemouth have already got to score 2 to win.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, but City probably win that. But it's compared to playing like Southampton at home, where you're thinking, oh, they've got absolutely no chance of dropping points. It's slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's away. But again, Southampton proved last week that you can put a barrier up for a while, can't you? Because it was only 1-0.
I think he hit the bar as well late on.
Yeah.
I'm sure they did. Archer, was it? Yeah. So
it says a lot, doesn't it, when there was probably there's only one person in the world that predicted that they'd only score 1 and he won the Super 6 out of it.
Really?
Yeah, so the fella who won the Super 6 last week, he put 1-0 City against Southampton.
See, that would instantly, because I often do Super 6, gamble responsibly, I often do it, and if I seen like that result, for instance, the 1-0, I'd be like, well, that means nobody's won the Super 6.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
You could automatically assume that people would be free as sort of like your minimum,
correct.
Wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
So
that's like,
it's interesting, that,
didn't see that.
Yeah, it's mad.
Wow.
So looking at that, what you said before about, they're not firing all cylinders and they're not getting as many goals as they usually do. But I'm on this, like, Haaland's going to be fit. And the only advantage I think it is because it's away from home. But just ignore it. Move on.
They also rested a few players. They had a very young team out against Spurs when they lost. They had like McAtee playing players like that. So they'd be quite fresh.
Yeah, of course. That was nice.
Nice touch.
That comment. Bring that comment.
What one? So 13 players.
Yeah. I don't understand why the media now are making a big thing about this. Did you see it the other day?
I've seen it, yeah.
And it's driving me insane. It's like everybody has injuries, and more so like Liverpool have had quite a lot, and it was just like, just shut up and get on with it.
Yeah, but
there's this narrative now, and it's just driving me up the wall.
Well, City and Arsenal.
I've seen it more with Arsenal than City. I think City
violins
it's
out.
kind of gone under the radar that their squad hasn't been that big the last year or two. Arsenal definitely, though. It's really it's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
13 players and 115 charges, but case of Arsenal. Nottingham Forest play West Ham. Yeah, all right. Wolves play Crystal Palace. Ditto. Spurs Villa, that'll be a good game Sunday. Super Sunday's actually somewhat, providing Liverpool have done the business Saturday, and hopefully Newcastle and Bournemouth likewise, that Sunday's boss. Like, it's Spurs Villa at 2:00, followed by United Chelsea at 4:30.
Oh, nice.
That's a bit of me, that. Nice. That's a little bit of me, that. Nice. And then Monday Night Footy, for what it's worth, I think I'm right in saying is a West London derby, if my London geography is right. Fulham Brentford.
Right.
Feels like a West London derby, yeah.
I
Okay.
don't think I'll be watching that one, do you?
I will watch that.
I don't think I'll be watching that.
I'll watch that.
Man United will win, by the way.
Do you think?
Yeah, new manager bounce. Did you
Yeah,
see them all
yeah.
good doing
They've
it?
had that.
They did. Apparently, the players were doing like a lap of honour, and Van Nistelrooy was giving it the big uns after beating Leicester in the League Cup.
A lap of honour.
Apparently,
Oh my word.
That's not embarrassing.
that's what I've heard.
Well, I mean, if you want to give us crap for the West Brom clapping the cop, then
Yeah.
I'm going to give you crap for that.
Take a look at yourselves, ladies and gentlemen.
But Sam's right though. New manager bounce. It's always the way.
That's a very basic point, but it's true.
It's true though.
It feels true.
Statistically, that works so well. Like, you know, beating a second string Leicester 5-2 will give him a lot of confidence in the play. Is it Old Trafford at the weekend?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Score predictions. Sam?
3-1 to Liverpool.
Jay?
Spot. I put that on my Super 6.
Did you? There you go.
Gamble responsibly.
Goal scorers? I always ask this question, so I apologise.
Nunez
Yeah.
and 2 for Diaz.
Jay?
I'm going to go Gakpo, Salah, and go on. Come on, Szoboszlai. Put one in for
I
us.
keep picking it. I'm not doing it again. I'm going to say 3-0 Liverpool, and I'll say, Salah 2 and Alexa McAllister. Kat says 2-0 Liverpool. There's been a lot of positivity in the chat about the score predictions, which is nice. Speaking of positivity, I'll be back tomorrow. Watch a long time, Master Day Live time. Me, the aforementioned Neville, and Steve Hall back in the building, I think, and hope I'm right in saying. We'll be here from about... Why can't I do maths all of a sudden? Aaron, help me. 1:45? That seems right. That feels right. 1:45, we'll be back. We'll do all the build-up stuff. We'll do all the match stuff. We'll do all the post-match stuff. You know how it works. Jay, thank you.
Thanks,
Sam, thank you. Nigel, no thank you. Take care. See you soon.